Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Sunset Peony, and okay, I'm gonna use the brush that I use to point to things. Okay, we are very excited to have the spring birds, and I don't know what I will call this. This is a part one of a two-part. So this time, this part one, we have got the two birds and the nest. There's a leaf right here, so I'm leaving the shape so it looks kind of weird. And then we painted this branch that Daddy Bird is standing on, very proud, waiting for the spring, baby, the eggs to come. And so we did the leaf over here too. So that's one of the leaf. And we are going to, and so quickly after you guys, and the line drawing, which I show you in the beginning part when we start painting, will be on Etsy. The link will be on the description. And you guys can use that really rough, really raw line drawing to get you started, okay? But I will remember what I told you I will include so that it will make it easier for you to trace it onto a paper. And I just get more of the eraser. I also show you guys that. And so that you can just, get started with the painting fun. Without drawing, I actually drew it, and you will see that. I'll show you. I draw it just freehand onto this watercolor paper, but you guys don't have to do that. I have more experience and practice, and so you guys will be able to get this started. And I do two parts because then we will be more relaxed and slower to do this. I'm gonna do more two parts because I need to be a little more relaxed too when I paint instead of rushing through it. And all you need to do is just click the next video, right? So yeah, we may just begin to do more of that, so we can just do it a little bit slower. I'm getting old, older. I like it slow, and then you guys don't have to, I hope you do not feel like you need to rush with me, and so because I have to rush, but you guys don't have to rush, so I just wanted to use a darker color and then put this over here a little bit darker. Okay, right there. Okay, and so part one, and then the part two, we're gonna work on the background with leaves coming here and there, more leaves, more branches. Okay, and some of the leaf coming up here, and that's my composition, right? With some leaf, lighter color leaf over here, and then we will do some leaf down here, and put some blackberry if we have time. Okay, so we'll try to put some blackberry, but I'm not sure. The blackberry is not a guarantee, but I think that we probably will have time, since it's on two part. And so I use this whole brush the whole time because it's fine line. The style is very fine, so a brush with a very, very fine tip. Now I have write these people that sell the brush on Amazon and tell them, please restock it. I don't know why they don't. I write them in Chinese because I know how to write in Chinese. And ask them. I haven't heard a reply. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. Now, a while back, I also have this one. Now, all these will be linked, and they're all Amazon, and I'm not affiliated. I'm affiliated with Amazon, but not with these people. You can use this one too. Now, if a while ago you got it from Oriental Art Supply, the zero brush, now I'm going to show you, okay? You can see the difference, right? You can use the zero brush too, but it will run out of moisture very quickly, as you can see the difference, right? And so with the zero brush, you will have to dip in more time, or more frequently. And with these two, but if you have any fine line brush, okay, let me see if I have an example. There are some that I don't like, and I bought it through the years, so I never really talked to you guys about that because, when I try something, I don't like it, I won't use it, and I won't recommend it. Let me see. This is one that I like. Where are the brush that I don't like? I also like this one. This one come with that. These two are a pair. I will put the link in there, and I think they still sell that. So you can go buy this one. This one, this red belly one is going to take a while for them to come back. That's the one that I wrote them. Okay, and so I actually don't have any of the one that I don't like that I can show you. I am sorry, maybe I just throw them out. And so I didn't know, and so I went in and I bought these. Okay, because you know, since these people are not selling them, you know, they say we don't know when the inventory will come back. So I thought that these are fine brush. Now you can see the difference, humongous. And so, but I will use that. And then, okay, I also bought these myself, my own money, the medium one. Okay, and I will do another painting with this. Okay, in their pack there is four paintbrush, and there's squirrel hair, and see there's a small one, not too small, but I can use the small one. So I just haven't break, you see the still in the package, you know, because you guys are so sweet to support me. You know, as I say, when you go buy the line drawing, I actually get about 50 cents profit, maybe, and I will use that to investigate on Amazon for supply that, you know, the hidden dragon kind of supply that are good stuff, but nobody knows, right? And so I find a lot of them, and like this is a hidden dragon too, this one, okay? But look at how big. We need a finer brush this time, a finer brush, okay? And so I find the hidden dragon, and then I come back and show you guys, because, you know, when you buy the line drawing, you actually support this channel, and I don't know, you know, I put in a lot of my own money, and that's fine. But when I get supply, sometimes when I get so many supply, I will use the earning that you guys, you know, when you buy the SC line drawing. And so I will just have fun, and then I will, you know, and so sometimes, of course, I will get paint, right? I'll go get some paint, refill of my paint, but that, yeah, that is fine. You know, I just use my own money too on that. As, you know, light bulb, you know, filming, you know, my phone, new phones, or, you know, for filming. But all those are fun things. So no worries, right? But I really appreciate that. And a lot of you are getting the line drawing. Makes me very happy. You know why? Because I know that you are painting along with me. You know, there's nothing in the world that is more encouraging to me and make me happier than know that you guys are out there actually painting. You know, improve yourself, improve your brain, right? So that you know, you'll be healthier, you feel healthier. That's very important to me since my cancer, you know, that I like to feel healthy. I actually been doing Tai Chi too. But anyway, that's a different day, different story. Okay, and so this is what we've been doing. And this is the part one. And it will take you 45 minutes to watch. And well, when you follow along, paint with me, you can stop and go, right? And so all the link will be on the description. And remember, the line drawing is very rough, very simple. Is to get you started, and it's only $1.50, by the way, you know, just so you know. In Etsy, because Etsy is always gonna be there, so I put the line drawing there so you guys can always get it. And whenever you know, have made up your mind that you wanted to start painting with me. And so and that's it. I'm talking a little bit too much, and just so that you know, use a fine brush, and I put all the color that I use down there too. Yeah, but remember, these two you can still buy. You know, they actually bring back their inventory, and you can tell the difference, right? This one probably give you more moisture, this one a little less moisture, but still there's enough moisture. Okay, let me wet that for you. Okay, if I wet that, oops, my brush dropped there. If I wet that for you, you know, and dry it, you see how sharp this one is, right? And so those are all good pen. I will call them the hidden dragons in Amazon, you know, those really good, really inexpensive. I think you can get 4 of these for $12, and I think the 2 of these, this one plus that black one, come as a pair is only $6, $7, something like that. And so I hope you can get it, you know. And if they sell out, I keep asking them, and I keep trying to find, you know, the good brushes that are very, very reasonable price, so you guys can have fun without having to worry, you know. And of course, you need to get the paint, and it is very good to get good paint, okay? And the paint is, you just search Daniel Smith or M. Graham or Myanmar. You know, those paints are actually very good. And then there's a Korean brand too. I actually had a big package of that I haven't even opened. But, you know, it's like 10, 15 years ago. I just bought it with my own money because I wanted to see if the Korean is coming out. There is Holbein. Yeah, it's a Japanese brand, and their stuff is also very, very good. And anyway, I will write that in the description, so you can go to Amazon. Maybe I'll send links to one of the paint, so you can go to Amazon and look around and see if you wanted to get some paints there. It's good to get good paint, but if you wanted to, you know, get you can look in all of my video. One of my video, I actually is it mailing? I actually do a mailing package. Oh, I'm looking around to find my mailing. It's not here. It's at BYU Library in my locker. Okay, so I bring that to my locker, and that's good too. That one, you know, I know a lot of people actually get that. I don't like their packaging. Maybe they have changed, but I'm not going to buy another one just to see if they have changed the packaging. And so, but that is good and that is sufficient. But these are fun, you know, when you get tubes like this from Daniel Smith and from M. Graham. These last so long. It lasts so long that recently I had to, this one dry up, I had to cut out the metal and put it in a dish. This is my cadmium red medium, and this is fine. Okay, after you cut it out and put it in a bowl, it will last you forever. Last you until it's done. Anyway, okay, thank you very much. Let's get started with the painting. Okay, let's get started. Before I started in on the bird, wow, my voice really is you know, just getting low. It's okay, voice change. I wanted to show you recently. So my cadmium red medium had solidified, and so I think I've told you guys that in some other video before. I don't, you know, these are still wonderfully good. You know, so I use a scissor and cut off the cover. Like if it was, I think that red was Daniel Smith. But anyway, cut off the cover and, you know, put this in a little bowl, and we can use it and be happy and just keep using that. And so that's something that you could do. So don't worry. But, you know, as frequent as I paint, I still, you know, have dry paint. And this is a part of quinacridone gold, yes. And so those you can't buy anymore, right? So when they got dry, I also do the same thing. I cut it. As you can see on my drawing today, that I actually use a pencil. I've shown you guys this kind of pencil that it's a 0.3 Pentel. It's a 0.3 Pentel, and some of the video I actually have links. And so what I did is I draw by hand onto my paper, because I find that I can make sure that the details is exactly what I like, and the shape and how the head is pointing up. So I do that, and I use this eraser. I can't do without this eraser, but I might put a link in the description. But of course I'm not affiliated. I just really like it, because after you erase it, I use a brush, you know, and brush it off, or even a dry towel, and then, you know, it doesn't affect the paper at all. Now, and so you can see that I already had the eyes, you know, kind of painted. So what I do is, since I haven't explained, you know, since the last bird video, I use this micron, and I go in there, and, well, I can't do it again because then it will leak, right, as I'm painting. But I just make sure you leave a highlight right there, and then I'll just darken it, and then some of the beaks and his little claws over here too, because it's just my Chinese training that we don't really want the eyes and the beaks to move. And so I use the micron. Sometimes in other painting I might go in and darken it. It all depends on the value, but, you know, probably not this one. We'll see, okay? But this is what I use. And when you guys got the line drawing from my Etsy store, and thank you, there's a lot of you buying the line drawing, so I assume that you are painting along with me. That make me so happy. And when you use the line drawing, you trace it. So this is about what the line drawing will be like, okay? But it will be darker. I will use a micron to do that. So after my painting, I'll do that. you trace it onto, use a light box, okay, and trace that onto the watercolor paper. If you print it on the watercolor paper, the color will run a lot of times unless you let it dry for a few days, and sometimes that will run still. But if you trace it with your pencil carefully, and if you make mistake, just use that and you'll be fine and ready to go. Okay, now today we're gonna use this brush. I call it the red brush with the big belly. It's bigger now. A while ago I refer you guys to, this is the Zero brush from Oriental Art Supply, and you can see the difference, right? And the benefit of this one is because of the belly, so that it can have more water in it, and so it will go longer. And this one is also good. The Zero brush is good if that's what you have, because there's so many details. We will use a fine brush with a very fine tip, and that's what I like, and that's what I recommend. Okay, if you have a fine brush with very fine tips. And a while ago I also have recommended this one, right? This little brush here, and they're all from Amazon. I'll put the link down there, from the Chinese people, because some of you guys were saying that you didn't want to buy from Oriental Art Supply because they charge us a hefty shipping. So, and they, so I've been looking, but however, with this one, I'll just talk to you while I start painting. Now, so I go in and I dip with a pen that's been wet and then dry. Okay, I went in the burnt umber color, and so the tip of the brush right now is full of burnt umber. And the reason why I start right next to the beaks all the time is because that's where the color is most intense. Okay, so you can see that I'm just kind of feathering the color up. Okay, because I want the most intense. Since when you dip the brush is a little bit wet, the most intense of the color is in the beginning, right? And so it need to go to this, because this is like, like we always say, right? This is when we focus on the form of the bird, her head, right? We want her head to not be a flat head, and it has some volume to it, and so this is how we do it. Okay, we have it darker down here, so when it's darker, make it look like it kind of curved down to the beaks. Now you can already see that the color intensity is lowering, right? And that's exactly what we want. Okay, and so this is what I should actually give you this line too. I'll try to remember when I do my line drawing. I have this line so you don't keep going over here. Apparently, right now I don't have that to remind myself, and so good thing that I just do remind myself. Okay, and so can you see that the color intensity of the burnt umber is lowering, right? And so that's exactly what we want. Focus the intensity over there, okay? And about at this point, we dip our pen in our water, our brush, and then we dry it, quite dry, okay? Because this area is small, and this is when we pull out. Now I find that that's not dry enough. Dry it a little bit more. We pull out so there's no pigment on this brush right now, okay? When we try to pull out the pigment like this, then the whole shape of her head will look more dimensional, okay? Look like an egg, and that's what we want. Because the sun, we assume, is coming down, right? And so when you do things like that, like follow along in this way to paint, then you will be able to accomplish. You can just leave a hole there. Should we just leave a white for highlight? Why not? Okay, so we just leave a little bit of white for highlight. We're not going to pull more pigment into that area. Okay, and I think because, I think that's pretty, so I just decided that right now. Okay, so now this area is kind of wet, and so do not use the brush right now. Even though there's no pigment, it's just a wet brush to go on this area, because we want to maintain the darkness of that area. And as you can see, so what I'm going to do is, just do a line right here to indicate that that's part of her wing, but it's, because of the perspective that she's in, you can only see. So there's pigment of burnt umber in here, okay? So it's a little bit more intense now. Okay, back to intense, and just do that. And to the eye, it will indicate that, that, okay, that's part of her wings right there. Okay, now let's come over to this side, okay, to do this part of the wing that we can actually see. And so this is the more important part that we need to be a little more careful. And over here, you know, even if we make some little mistake, it'll be fine. Okay, I just realized that I need a straight line. And so instead of a curve up here, I would like to have a straight line. Okay, this is a straight line coming down, and I want this to be straighter, so I can work this area in a minute when we get to that area, okay? And that's the feather that's coming to cover, so that's very pretty, right? Because the chest feather is very pretty of a bird, and we wanted to have that, you know, with us. And very true, this painting, since it's fine line painting, fine line means we're not abstract or, you know, try to do big area of abstract for the bird. And so it should be a lot easier, because, you know, with the Chinese tradition, now we're leaving that white triangle area to indicate the feather of the chest, right? It's still white in color. Or we can make it a little bit of a shadow, but not right now, not yet, okay? And so we're coming to, just pay attention to different shape of triangle over here. Now you can see that the paint is, the burnt umber paint is dissipating. And so we go back in without even needed to dry the brush. Okay, now we go back over here. Why am I doing that? Because the color is intense, and we reserve the intense color for underneath the chest feather, because the chest feather will be more likely in real life to cast a shadow onto the bird. Okay, and so we will just like kind of do it over here, so we don't waste the intensity of the paint. And this area will also be just a tad lighter, okay? And so as we come down and we're painting, we'll just kind of leave some white area just for highlight and pretty. Okay, so you can see that I leave white area right here. And I was just in the middle of telling you guys, now I just dipped some burnt umber on my brush again, and it depends on your brush and how it's doing. Okay, I leave some in the Chinese painting. We they usually with an apprentice, when they first start painting, they do a fine line, because the spontaneous style, that's what they call it, the spontaneous style, is actually a little bit harder. You have to know what the brush is doing and how to push it so that you accomplish. So this is the fine line. So it should be a little easier and more relaxing for us. Okay, so the feather is gonna look like that for now. Okay, and we can at this point come over here, and if you wanted to make this or this part darker, this part right here darker, then you can actually use some black, lamb's black or something, but I think it's sufficient, at least for now. So we'll, after the painting is done, we'll go in and assess and look at the value, okay? And so, right now, let's work on his little foot, little claw. Okay, so let's use Payne's gray, I think, because there's a little blue, so make the difference, right? What we will do is, like, from the darker part also, when the pigment is most intense, and we'll come up, towards the, so there's one claw, one and one here. Okay, I'm lost of words. I don't even know how to describe this. The individual toes. Okay, so more intense here, lighter Payne's gray. We pull the color out there. Okay, do it one more. Another one. Okay, and it's the individual toes, and so you can see very intense Payne's gray color, right? And then we will pull it out. Now, if you're trying to do a bigger painting, you can use bigger brush, okay? And so sometimes it all depends on the person. If you like to do bigger painting, because you have more room, you don't like to do the fine line, then you can use a bigger, just blow up your, the line drawing that I give you to a bigger size and do it on a bigger painting. And then you can use bigger paintbrush like this one. You can see the difference in size, right? It still comes to a point. And so those are all, I got those from Amazon. You know, I've been trying brushes, just okay, these people, right, the brush that I use, I have the link to them, but the problem with them is they don't, now I need to make sure that it's dry. Okay, so the more dark pigment right here, the person, I mean the shop that sells it, they don't have it. They sold out. And so probably you guys, some of you guys actually were lucky enough to get it. And so what I needed to do is like go find other stores. And I actually wrote them. I'm not affiliated with them or anything. I wrote them and say, hey, you guys, in Chinese, Chinese character. And because I know that they're from China. And so I just want them to know that, hey, people want to buy your brush, you know, please, you know, sell it. And of course, no, not of course, but I haven't heard back from them. And so now we're going to do this shadow part, okay? Now you can see that this is like a pyramid, right? And so we're going to use more intense color right there and make this a shadow. So you can see that even though she's looking up, her beak still casts a shadow and come down this way, okay? So I'm going to use Payne's Gray because I think, you know, this shadow will, you know, if I use burnt umber, then it'd be a little bit of confusion. Now, actually, this painting is from somebody that painted, an old master, in 1922. Now, since I know the dates, I know that, you know, like I told you, I like to go down to the library to look at, now I want it to be a little more intense, so I dip it while still wet. You know, I can do that a little bit, okay? Dip it back into the Payne's Gray, and I'm going to, you know, I just kind of wipe that, you know, to make sure that this is drier, okay? And pull. Now you can see that the color is deeper here. What I'm trying to portray is trying to build that pyramid shape, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just soften this line to nothing. So what I do is I wash my my brush, I dry it, and then I come down here and soften the line. Okay, with Chinese painting, softening the line is very important. Okay, so now you can see that there's a shadow, but we still want some color over there. So we can use Payne's Gray and mix in with a little bit of indigo, you know, so little, and just do that, okay? So we can see some color over there, but not really a lot. Okay, and also, when the painting is done, I need to remember to come in and give a little bit of a nose. Birds have a little bit of a spot right there, but now I can't do that because since the paper is wet, if I do that, then it will just disperse, right? And watercolor, we get used to things like that. And okay, now this area here is still kind of shadowy area, okay? And you know, so I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going to go in with a light, very light wash of Payne's Gray, okay? Very light wash, and then I'm going to, you know, just add a little more shadow over here. So I was going to tell you, in the middle of doing that, you know, you guys know that I have ADHD, right? So I can just bounce from here and there when I'm talking. And some of you actually give comment and think that that's funny. And so what I do is I go and I look at ancient books, really books that sometimes published in the 1800s. And so what I do is now, what I'm going to do is right now is, I'm going to put a couple stripe over here for her, for the wings. Now you can use a very dark burnt umber plus a little bit of lamb's black, okay? So that's what's on my brush, okay? Okay, so that's all I'm gonna do, you know, because the feather has some darker color and some lighter color, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna do that. So indicate, you know, to your mind that that's the hard feather and the soft feather. Very fun, right? Okay, and then just leave it alone. And so now what I will do is I'm gonna work on the belly over here, and you know, because of the shape, you can see that this is round, but this, you know, to your eye, it could be just a flat round, and we don't want that. So we use our shadow, use some shadow over here and some shadow over here, and we will build this up so it become a ball, an egg. Okay, so it look fat and happy. You know, a little fat daddy bird. Maybe that's daddy bird and that's mommy bird. You know, I just gave them the name. I'm not sure. But anyway, so we can use some Payne's gray, and then maybe a little bit of burnt umber, you know. So we're, you know, just suggesting to our mind that the shadow is just bouncing off her feather, okay, or his feather. Okay, so start from here, okay? Just a little flick of just a little bit, you know, because you don't need a lot, you know. So, but if you need put a lot in, the bird will start looking like dirty, you know. So try to use a very, very light wash. Light wash meaning, well, and then now with a clean brush, go in and soften this. Because we know that the bird have feather, right? And the feather is around this area. Okay, so you can see that the shadow area is being pushed back over here, and that's the white will come forward, okay? And so that make it a little bit, and also I'm using a little bit more. I know that it need a little bit more of the shadow color, okay? And still I come in and make that line very, very soft. Okay, and so here, when the belly is going in towards the beaks, you know, his body is covering up this area, right? So we need a little bit more shadow over here to indicate that. And so I go to library and I find, you know, ancient painting. I love that. That's what I used to do, you know, when I was, you know, before I started the channel. Now I don't really have time to go do that, but I still, you know, I still go look. Am I kidding? And you know, find the ancient master. And sometimes it's engraving plates, and sometimes I think I've told you guys this guy, his name. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of burnt umber over here, okay, just so that it can be consistent. Just a little tack in the shadow. See how pretty? We can also, in the highlight, we can put leaf color, okay? That's what we can do, you know, as an artist, to make, you know, it just become more alive, okay? And so I'm going to put shadow right here, a little bit shadow going in under the wings, because then that will make the wings stand up a little bit. So that's why we do things like that. Now, so back to the library. So I go to the library and I look, and so I have, you know, in the BYU library, BYU is where my husband work, okay, and he's a professor there. And so now you can see that the shadow is working, right? And when the pigment is leaving, you know, I come and soften this area. Okay, so the highlight become right over here. His chest is making more rounded and look like he has enough food to eat in the forest. And that's good for us. We love that, and we don't want them to be starving. They build a nest, so which means it's spring and they're gonna have babies, right? And we don't want either daddy or mommy starving, so and we want them to look like they have food to eat, okay? Now today I'm just going to do the bird and the nest so that I can save time. You know, save what do you call that? Data. A little bit more Payne's gray, okay? Just then when I do that, the wing will, you know, will stand up more. Remember the highlight? You know, when I put that stripe of color, the dark color on it, I'm still, you know, very aware of the highlight. I wanted to keep it. And just now we're just working on the shadow. And I like these, you know, I like these artists. I really like them because they are ancient and some of them are very good, but they're not really famous. They're not like Audubon. We will do some Audubon too. This year, Audubon alike, you know. So what I will do is I will go look at Audubon's birds, and then I will make up my own composition, right? And then I will paint together on that, okay? This year, the antique antique bird. Okay, now what I do is I just put some burnt umber with a little bit of black, and I'm going to do this tail feather right here, okay? And you can see I flick my brush. I flick my brush all the time, okay? And then in between, I'll just use a very faint line to separate, okay? This side is thicker, this side is thinner, okay? Okay, and that is done for his tail. Now I might, it looks sharp, so I might come over here with a clean brush, dab it in the towel, and soften those lines just a little bit, okay? So they're not so sharp. I really don't like very, very sharp line, except it's on the face area, on the the face area. Okay, now so is he almost done? I think he is. Okay, now so we're just gonna let him dry, and we'll work on his partner, the wife, and how we're gonna paint her. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. We'll start with the bead area. Okay, now I just wanted to use my pencil. You know, as I paint, I can see what I need to do. Okay, and draw this line, this little bitty line, to give us the boundary to where to start the head area. Okay, so burn umber, and then we'll do this the same as this. Okay, the same thing. We use the most intense color right now, okay, on the tip of the brush, and then we're gonna just go like this. We start right over here, and hopefully, you know, sometimes the brush dry, you know, and even now after all this many years, I still, you know, struggle with it, but that's okay, you know, because we get used to the style of watercolor, the brush, and just the way the watercolor. Okay, I will also need to put this for you guys so that we know where we have that little circular area. That's just the characteristic of the bird. Okay, and now it is, you can see, right, the intensity of the color is, you know, is working for us, right? It's getting less and less intense. So the most intense right over here, right? Just like the other bird. So mommy bird over here. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to try to make her head roundish, like an egg. Okay, so we're going to, you know, from this point, about this point, you know, you actually have freedom. You don't have to do exactly when. I like to do that. That's just from experience. Okay, and now this is a clean brush. Okay, no pigment, and I'm going to begin to pull the pigment out. Pull the pigment out. You know, and that's the beauty of watercolor, right? It's still here, and I'm going to leave just a little bit of highlight, meaning white over here. And so this is smooth, no harsh line. Okay, so she's just like her partner over here. Now, I might want to put a little bit more burnt umber over here. Now I pick up some burnt umber and make this part a little bit darker. And on the paper, this is still wet, okay? And we can do that. Okay, so she's looking good, right? Right, we agree? And maybe a little bit more over here. I don't want it, you know, I want a little bit more pigment and color for her head. Okay? Okay, that's good. And then we're gonna leave that, okay? This is about as much as you want to, what we call, mess with the wetness. When it's wet now, leave it alone, and then it will just kind of dry. Like I say in Utah, it dry fast. Okay, now there's a little bit of the, just like the partner right here, okay? I'm gonna put a little bit of a feather to indicate that her other wings, okay? Her other wings, so it's still burnt umber. Okay, so it's like, you know, she's looking towards us, but we still wanted to indicate that that's her other wings, okay? But that's all that we can see, okay? Over here, there's nothing actually that we can see because, you know, we assume that her other wing is tucked back, but you can actually do a little line. Let's do that. Let's do a little line over here, okay? So that's her, because we're mainly seeing her belly, okay? And so at this point, we can also, let's work on her pyramid of her beads, okay? So while all these are drying, we're going to go get some paint spray. Yeah, so I'm going to just do the bird and the nest. And because with this painting, I really, really love the background. So we're going to, like, save data, maybe do 45 minutes of that, and of painting today, or 1 hour, and then the second, you know, which I will push it out in 2 days after this one, so that you guys can just have a good time before Valentine's Day or something. You know, you can paint something like that, you know. Okay, so this is where more intense pigments are, right? Now the brush will naturally become less intense, but since it's not doing that for me, I clean the brush and dry it. Clean the brush, just squash it around in the water. Okay, and then we'll just, hopefully you can see that pyramid is building up, okay? And then I'll put a little bit of pink spray plus indigo plus any kind of blue that you have over here, just a little bit, okay? Okay, now remember earlier I said that I'm going to put a little dot over his nose. Okay, so I will do that right now. Okay, let's just say maybe over there. Okay. Okay, I'm back to picking up the brush, and now I have to decide maybe I should do a little bit more of that feathery pink spray, very, very dilute. A little bit more of, you know, just light over here. Okay, I'm doing that. The same thing with this bird. Yeah, so we will save the time, and so next time we don't have to rush through the background. We'll do a really nice background too, okay, for the bird. That's my plan for today, okay? And then we do that, soften it so it's not that harsh looking, okay? And then maybe put a little bit of feathery shadow over here, okay? Just a brush or two. Okay, now we're gonna come and work on her belly area. And it's the same thing, okay? We're gonna use pink spray, but we have to remember to drop a little bit of burnt umber on this area so we can be consistent. Okay, the bird, you know, one chest, two chests, right? Like the chicken breast, they're like that. And so we wanted to make sure we're correctly indicating that. And so we'll do the same thing, you know, with the kind of like a feathery separation, just a little bit, because they're not very pronounced. They're not as pronounced as a chicken or a turkey. Okay, so pretty, right? Just a little bit of pink spray. Okay, now we're gonna come down here, you know, because this really is mainly in the shadow because of the partner standing next to her. So we can just kind of, you know, make sure we do that, and that is the breast area that separate one of the breasts from the other. Okay, so there you see that V that I do, and this like little wiggly circle. Okay, that will, but I want it soft, you know, so I soften the color. And with pink spray, you really need to come in and work it, okay? And soften the line quickly, because pink spray are not forgiving. It won't stay around a long time for you. I mean, it won't stay movable for a long time for you. You know, it will just, that's a little bit wet, so we can put a little bit more, okay? And over here, the shadowy area. So it's my goal that, you know, this year when we work on more paintings, of course we're gonna do flowers and whatever I can think of. We are going to do a lot of this antique because it's very nice for home decoration. Hey, to be honest with you, with me, I'm softening it now, okay, with a clean brush. Okay, so this is more like the, you know, more like over here and over here is the chest area. So she look like an egg, a ping pong ball sitting over here, okay? And I need a little bit of shadow over there too. Yeah, I think these kind of painting are always going to be very, very lovely in a house, in your house, when you, after you've done it, but, you know, but this year is supposed to be big, so I don't know. So we can do that, okay? And so let's let her dry. I think with her, we are pretty much, I'm fanning her, let her dry. But actually in Utah, we've been so dry. We've been so dry that we actually don't have to worry about they're not drying. So what I'm going to do is clean my brush, okay? So I put it in my bowl of my big bowl of water next to me. I'm not going to move it to show you because it's just, imagine a big antique Pyrex bowl full of clear water. That's what I have. And so when I clank it, I just want you to know that I'm washing it and then I dry it. I'm just having a dry towel next to me. And then we're going to turn to, I'm going to do this branch too, okay, before we're done. But we're going to do let's do the nest now. So it's very simple. We're just going to use the same brush. And we're going to use sepia color, okay? So as with a brush, I mean, as with a nest, you can see that if the sun is coming down from the top, the top part it's going to be lighter, and then we will work on the bottom part. And I have a leaf over here that I draw on here to indicate that you know, the leaf is like kind of, the nest is behind the leaf. Okay, so we're going to remember in my mind, okay, we're going to do this darker down here. And so we can start anywhere. Okay, now this is the leaf of the line. I just want you guys to see that. Okay, now this is sepia. Now, do we stick with just sepia? No, because I like that nest has, sometimes it has, so I'm just flicking it around like daddy and mommy, when they are trying to build a nest, they went around and do the twigs, right? They gather twigs. And so these are the twigs, okay? So we don't have to, you know, make them really the center, you know, part, okay? This is the side of the leaf, okay? I'm just gonna make sure that we have a, you know, to remember that there's a leaf over there, because my pencil drawing is so fine and detailed, yeah, and fine and detailed, or just fine that, you know, sometimes you can hardly see that. And so when I'm painting and talking, sometimes I don't remember, and then I run over the line and destroy my composition, which is okay. You know, we'll just fix it, but I don't want to. So now we can see that there's a leaf right here, okay? And the nest is, you know, so they build themselves a little nest. You know, in our area, we see robin nest all the time in my yard. And they have this little blue robin egg, and they're very, very pretty. I love them. But when the time I see the egg, usually that means a disaster, like the neighborhood cat had gone onto the nest, and mommy's broken heart, you know. I have never seen two birds, though, actually, tending a nest. Okay, so I just put some bird number over there, too. Okay, and back to sepia. And that sad thing, you know, but sometimes things is like that, you know. And I have told you guys before, this is storytelling time. I actually, you know, the past year, I know that when the quail around here are actually ready, because now we're just flicking, working the nest up. Okay, I always know that when the quail. Okay, so why do I do that? I'm just, you know, saying that, okay, it's, you know, I need to make it so it's, you know, a nest shape, right? Like an oval. You know, so there's some stick coming from behind. You know, I wanted to make sure I do that. You know, around the time of the Orem Parade, you know, which is, you know, when my daughter used to play in the, you know, the marching band. And so that's when the quail around here will, they will, the little baby quail will hatch, you know, almost every year is that day, you know. And we had a really cute story, I think, in one of the painting, talk about how, you know, the morning when we were preparing to go to the parade for my daughter, and there was really a lot of racket going on outside. The quail were going crazy, but we were so busy that we didn't like really pay attention. Okay, a lighter wash of sepia, okay, for the twig. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken this area very dark a little bit, so that you can see that the mom is casting a shadow onto the nest, or it's the hollow part of the nest, okay, right there, where the baby eggs are going to reside. Okay, and that's what I'm doing right now. Just put a little bit of darkness right here. Okay, wasn't dark enough, so well, I can add more sepia right now, but if when it dries still wasn't dark enough, I'm going to go in and put some lamb's black on it. Okay, and so right now that's the side of mommy's chest, right there. And so I'm just putting some darkness to indicate that there is a hollow underneath there. Now, there's all these highlight. I probably don't want that. So what I usually would do is I would just have fun. Now, since this is my green, it's easier to show you. I'll show you right now how I pick up color, okay? So I have some prylene green right here. Okay, so I will do that, okay, with the highlight, because I don't want highlight. Okay, And then I'm gonna, you know, so what does this indicate? It indicate that mommy, when they pick up some bird, they some sticks, they also have pick up some green, okay? While they pick up the twig, okay? And so we're gonna, just so that this will be a darker nest, okay? So, and then you guys can also see how I pick up color. When I say I pick up color, I use the tip. I go in there. I don't mix color. This is the high intensity of the color, okay? I hardly ever mix color, you know, and when I do, I'll let you know. Okay, and now I'm back to the sepia, okay? No, so I'll put this down and dip some sepia on the same brush, okay? I really like fine line because I don't really have to think much, you know. Okay, and then I'm going to, you know, just kind of still do the stroke so that we can keep working on the nest and darker down here. This area, okay? And that area has lost the darkness, right? But I'm still going to let it dry, okay? I'm going to work on the branch, and then we'll come back, and then we'll, you know, we'll actually call this painting done. Oh, actually, I need to go in with this micron, okay? And put that little nose. You guys know what I'm talking about. The bird had a little hole over there. I don't know, I call it the nose. It's not the nose. Okay, so now the bird itself is done. Except maybe I will put some prylene green right here, okay? Right here to do some reflection on her, okay? On her belly in the shadow area. Okay, so it's consistent, you know, you bring the color back down, and I will come in and darken in just a second after I do the branch, okay? Let me see if I like the nest. Well, I like it enough. Well, let's use some directional brush stroke over here, okay? Meaning, you know, the nest should curve, right? I don't want it to be flat, so I'm going to do some directional brush stroke with the sepia ink. I just love bird nests, though. When you go out and look at them, they are just awesome. By the way, you know, January has been a very, very hard month for me. I actually got the illness that was out there. And so I finally got better. And also the hard thing is because last year I had my cancer at this time, right? So I had a lot of doctor's appointment. And on top of that, I also need a new crown. And after the crown, they told me that it doesn't work. I need to have, what do you call that? I just had it a few days ago. And then I say, okay, I'm going to have to paint root canal. Oh my gosh, so painful. But that's okay. It's all gone and done. So I'm done. I'm done for the year. From now on, I'm telling myself I'll be all good. I usually get a cold in February, but this year I get in January. I don't know why. Okay, now this branch over here is actually quite pretty, okay? So we'll just do that. We'll just do that now, and so that, you know, it's a good point to stop. Okay, so what I'm doing is I always do with my sticks and branches, okay? I line it up with sepia, okay? And then what I'll do is I clean the brush, okay? Clean the brush, no pigment now, okay? No pigment. I come in and soften it. And just follow the line, you know, the line that I'm going to draw for you guys when you get the line drawing, okay? And if I say, hey, the line is not sharp or dark enough, and then I'll come back and get a little bit more pigment over there, okay? So that's my branch, okay? And it's going up this way, and that obviously is not enough pigment. Go back and get some more, and do this. Okay. And then clean the brush off, and you know, take your time, okay? You guys don't worry. Just take your time and just enjoy it. Do it slowly. I'm very slow if I'm not teaching on YouTube. Because, you know, the good thing is, you know, when we do art like that, you know, the intensity of what we are doing to our brain and eye coordination is awesome. Let alone, you know, so it keep our brain youthful, and we don't have to be fast to do that, you know. You know, it's just like your brain is directing your brush on how to do a painting, right? And so it's going to be very intense for your brain. It's very, very good for us. So good. So we just do them, and then we felt sharper. We felt more focused. Now, I'm not saying that it is a cure to dementia. I wish it is. But, you know, the part that we can do to keep our brain sharp, you know, we'll do them. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to like slightly draw it. I'm going to draw a little branch over here that come down, okay? A little stick. And then I'm going to do this leaf for you. An well, I can call it abstract, but just a little leaf that that is in the springtime, okay? I'm going to springtime. The original painting of this 1920 artist, that was actually a fall leaf, but we're going to do a spring, okay? And one is to just respect people, don't copy them. And one is so that we can just, you know, we can do our own. We really can do our own imagination, okay? Now, while this is a little bit dry, then I will work harder, okay? So I'm going to use a black, lamp black plus, you know, lamp black is a color that I suggest you guys get, and plus burnt umber, okay? One more time. I'm going to come in here and darken this hollowness of the, just a little bit, okay? A little bit more. The hollowness of the cavity of the bird nest, okay? And so, and in order to, you know, keep the integrity of the twig, you know, we're going to add some twig over here, okay? Add some twig, and then periodically we will put some, you know, dark over here, so you can just see that there is a hollowness to the bird nest. Okay, just over here and there, okay? Oh, sorry, I was out of, okay, I'll show you, okay? What I just did is I used the lamp black plus the burnt umber, and I come over here and darken this area, darken it, and then I do it here and there so that you can still see the twig. It's something called the negative painting, right? You can still see the twig, but you are working on the, you know, so, you know, the hollow part of the nest, okay? Where the eggs are gonna sit in there. But since, you know, when you think about a cup, okay? So it's level. You're looking at level. You're not looking at bend towards you, okay? So you can't have a lot of hollowness. If you see a lot of hollowness, your brain will say, oh, the perspective is not quite correct. So you wanted it to be level, okay, over there. That's the best explanation I can give. Okay, and so now we're going to go back here. You know, you can use a bigger brush, but I think, you know, we don't need to change the brush. And I'm going to use, what color should I use? Let's use prylene green. Okay, so this is how I pick up a clean brush, you know, that you have, you know, damp dry, so it's kind of damp. Okay, and I'm going to come over here and drop in some prylene green. Okay, drop in some prylene green, you know, towards the bottom. Okay, we're gonna do this side first. Now this is a little bit more abstract now, right? Now you can you see the intensity of the prylene green is running towards the more diluted, you know, which is good. It's good. And then what I'm gonna do before this got wet, then like I say, I don't mix color. What I'm gonna do is go to the sap green, okay? You see this sap green right here, and clean brush, or it doesn't have to be clean, but I just, because you're mixing them, and what you see how I do it, you know, you just drop it right next to the prylene green, you know, with the feather of your brush, you know, you push it in, so it's mixed together. You can see that, right? mix together and the prylene green with the sap green. And so that become a very, very beautiful color. That's why I call my green mix, right? Because now since we're still mining the sun coming down here, we are going to, you know, just clean the brush and dab it in the towel really well and do that. Okay, and just close this up so there's no pigment just now. I'm just finishing this part up. Okay, let's try a little bit over this little area over here. Okay, the same thing. It's abstract now because when in the nature you don't see leaf as a leaf shape. You hardly do, you know, but we paint it like that too, you know, the prylene green. Okay, now we just put it on, just because we just see them because they turn this way and they turn that way. So mainly the shape to us is abstract, and then the Chinese painter will call it spontaneous, you know, because then you're not doing fine line. Okay, and then I just pick up some sap green and I just push into the prylene green and just mix that together. Okay, and that's our leaf. And then we're going to do a lot more, you know, around here and build it up, and maybe some blackberry. So we don't know. You know, there's a leaf right there, okay? So let me, we're going to say goodbye now over here. And let me do the twig over here. The twig should be a little bit more defined, okay? The twig. And let it go into the leaf. Let it go into the leaf. Okay, and then it mashed together with the twig that's coming up here. Okay, and that's what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna say goodbye here. And today, you know, so that's what I want. We want to get the 2 bird done, and then I will film the next one quickly, and then we will have 2 video. So I will call that spring, you know, sparrow or whatever. Okay, I'm gonna try to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see better. Okay, so this is what we just did for the past 45 minutes. Okay, and so the line drawing will be there, and so I'm just gonna do an intro for this right now, and you know, kind of reverse. And so, and then the next time we will do the leaf, and that will be also a lot of fun and lots of technique to have fun with and to keep our brain sharp. Okay, I love you guys. Thank you for your support, and I will talk to you soon.